Hello to the world of the internet. For my tutorial today, I'm going to be starting out with a skin tutorial. So that way in the future I can just sort of skip through it, do my foundation, and if you want to see how I do it, you can come back and watch this tutorial, and if you don't care, then it won't get in your way. Awesome. So my skin is clean. I have a little bit of sunscreen moisturizer on it, which shouldn't be a big deal. The way you prep your skin depends on what your skin is like. Is it dry? Is it oily? Do you have combination skin? What does it need? What does it need? Because everyone's all about that flawless skin, you know, the way that we like. My skin is kind of dry, so it looks good, very hydrated. So what I'm going to be using today to prime it is an Hourglass hydrating primer, which I'm really into. I'm going to apply it with my fingers, just right off the bat. Just take a little bit. It's like this. Wait. Oh, damn it. I promise I'll figure it out. It'll be fine. And I'm just gonna... Using your fingers for application is great because it helps to warm up the product, which blends it into your skin a little bit nicer instead of just it sitting on top and you being really able to see it. Don't I look hydrated? The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take my beauty blender. The way that you use these fun little sponges is you soak them under the tap and then you squeeze out all the water, and then they're just these big puffy moist sponges. Why is this sponge so much better and different than a normal sponge? I find that it doesn't waste as much product. With a beauty blender you can kind of squeeze out the product after it's in there and keep using it on your skin. And I also think that it really works the product into your skin a lot better than a lot of brushes I've seen. Brushes can sometimes leave lines. I have to hiccup. No, I don't. Brushes can sometimes leave lines in your skin. It can look cakey. It can just sit right on top. It can look greasy. Whatever. This, I find, helps my foundation look natural, but still full coverage, because I like a full coverage. The foundation I'm going to be using today is Lancome, the Teint Miracle one. It's a little bit lighter than the Tint Idol, which is my jam. I love it. So I'm just going to do that. So when I'm applying the foundation, I'm really using a mixture of pressing and like moving the sponge around onto my skin, just so that it really looks natural. I can even zoom in a little bit. Nope, that's out. That's in. It's really important to blend your foundation down your jaw onto your neck. I find the Beauty Blender is really great for that because you don't have to like futz around with a brush like back and forth for your whole life trying to like get it down. This is just big boy and you just and then just kind of pull it down like that. I have freckles. I like this foundation and the technique of using the blender because it looks natural on me by letting my freckles come through. But as you can tell, it's already taken out a lot of the redness and imperfections of my skin. So as you can see, it looks really, really natural. It looks really good. As you may have noticed, I sound so business. as you may have noticed while I was applying my makeup. I kept flipping it back and forth. It has the pointy edge, which is good for details. I was actually working out of a sample cup of the foundation. That's why this little pointer is good for getting the product out. I'm not 100% on the best way to use a beauty blender. I think that with most products, brushes, tools, but my philosophy with makeup and with all the tools is use whatever you want in the way which you find works best for you. So I've just been sort of playing around with the blender and experimenting with it and what I like to do, and I like to just do a mix of putting it on that way, flipping it for the wider or the larger parts of my face, and yeah, so I really recommend whatever tools and products you use, just really play with them and do it the way that you like, because there's not really a right way for anything. So yeah, we got foundation on. It's looking pretty good. You can see the pores in my face. It's like a nice fresh look. So the next step that we're going to do is I'm going to add some concealer. I mentioned in my previous tutorial that I do concealer after foundation because I like to see how far the foundation can take me. I'm a big believer of the least, of having less on your face, because I think that the less makeup you have on, the less it looks like you're wearing. And that's what I like to see in skin. What you like to see in skin might be very different. So the concealer I'm going to use is the one that I use all the time. It is the MAC, no, not my face, there we go. MAC Select Cover Up in NW15. What I like to do to use it is I squeeze a little bit. Nope. Listen. Respect my authority. This is my hand. There it is. And I squeeze a little bit out onto the back of my hand. A little bit goes a long way with that. You don't need a lot. That's too much. Fun tip with these things. So if you squeezed out too much product, you can suck it back in. Just a little bit. It's hard to do. You just let you can just let the natural suction by squeezing near it and then releasing. It'll suck it back in. So that's great for liquid products that come in a squeezy. If you squeeze out too much, you can just suck them back in. The brush that I will be using, I promised you I would have all my things out. I do, but there's so many things. This is the brush that I'm using. It is a Crown Brushes brush. I think it's like a blender of sorts. It doesn't have a name on it, so it's just magical. I like a fluffy brush for skin because I find that it really blends it in, and flat brushes can sometimes leave lines and look kind of harsh. So I'm just putting a little bit of product. No. Here. So I'm just kind of lightly putting a little bit of the product and working it onto the brush. And then I'm just gonna go I sort of follow the natural shape of my eye bag because that's what I'm trying to get rid of here. That's a lot. So you can see the difference between having the under eye concealer and not having the under eye concealer. I really like the Select Sheer because it is really, really easy to buff out, which means that you can use it sheer and it doesn't cake up, but you can add a little bit more on. So I think that it just makes my face look a little bit brighter. So let's do the other one. And then with whatever's left on my brush, I like to sort of, you know, go around the nose. Sometimes there's redness over there. If I'm doing a bold lip, I love to conceal the edges of my lips so that I can draw a cleaner line on later. But that's another tale for another time. So I still have a ton of product left. You can see how much of that went a really long way. So I'm going to just work a little bit onto my nose, a little bit up here. It's so great. You can even use concealer as foundation if it's the sheer type that if you like it. So let's just work this on. So I applied it real sexy like with this brush, and then I'm gonna grab my little fun blender. Don't we look nice? Don't we look so nice? Cool. And I still even have like tons of it left. So the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to set my foundation. The look that I'm going to do is more of a dewy look, less of like a really matte look. So I'm going to apply this powder, which is a MAC Mineralize Skinfinish in Light. And I'm going to do it with a brush. I like a fluffy brush to do any sort of face stuff with that has the duo fiber in it, because I find that they're usually softer and it's A, more comfortable, especially if you're working on somebody else, and B, it looks nicer on the skin. I'm not huge into, so this is like what I would call a duo fiber brush, whereas this is just like a fluffy brush, but I find they're always like harder and they don't feel as nice. So the first thing I'm going to do is set underneath my eyes. And then I'm going to set my nose because I don't want a shiny nose. It's not my style. Maybe that's your style. No judgment. And then with just a tiny bit of product, I'm going to go over the rest of my face. I still see a little bit of redness right up there. We were supposed to put concealer on, but didn't. So I'm just going to pack on a tiny bit more powder. And there you have the foundation part of things. The next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to use a blush. So this blush time is going to be an experiment. I just got a new blush that I am stoked to try out. It is NARS. It is the Dual Intensity Blush, which are these really awesome, gorgeous blushes. And the thing about them is you can use them wet or dry. I also have this NARS brush that goes with it. I just got this yesterday, so I'm not too well versed in it, so let's experience it together. The thing that is so cool about this product is it can be used wet and dry, which means that you can really layer it. The purpose of using it wet is with this product, it gives a really nice like kind of watercolor looking stain to the cheek. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick up the product just like this, just pressing it in. So I didn't grab a ton. I wonder if you can even see this. There's just a tiny bit on there. It's going to go a long way. Hopefully it's not going to be too big of a deal. Let's find out. So I'm going to just stamp it into my cheek first, like this. Oh yeah, that looks good. And then I'm getting a little excess product off on my hand. Then I'm going to buff it in. Okay, tell me that's not the most beautiful thing you've ever seen. Like, let's get a little closer. It is so awesome. It's so natural. It's so beautiful looking. It's the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. Let's do the other cheek. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the highlight side of things. And I'm going to do it the exact same way, but I'm going to keep it above the blush so that it really highlights what cheekbone I pretend to have. Like, yeah, I'm sorry. That's awesome. So that was an experiment that worked out really good, because that's what you're supposed to do with that product, and that's what we did. One more thing I'm going to do on my face is my Hourglass Ambient Light palette, which I'm obsessed with. Oh yeah. It's like a highlight that stays really nice and like glowy, but not sparkly. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my same concealer brush, and I'm going to go under my eyes with the lightest one. What? So that's just going to reflect the light under my eyes and be like, there's no bag to be had here. No. Ha. I'm also going to highlight my Cupid's bow because that's the business. And I'm going to do my chin. Doo-doo. Sweet, so that is my skin tutorial. That is my basically what I'm doing. Now I'm going to move on to an eye tutorial, but I'm going to treat it like it's totally different. So, thanks.